We have some horrifying update on net migration in this country, as we can safely say that Britain is now borderless. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the channel that challenges the mainstream media and the political establishment, from the left-wing nutters to the globalist elite. We have a couple of news stories for you guys this evening. We're going to come to you guys first with the number of net migration that continues to escalate in Britannia. And now we have our government briefing the papers and media, seem to be okay with it, saying that net migration is going to get much worse. Now, all government departments are now officially on alert about this issue. So, net migration to top 1 million this year. So by the end of 2023, we are going to see numbers that we have never seen in the history of these islands. So that is one thing, which is an issue that we've been warning about for the past few years, which actually has been going on for a few decades, but obviously the last few years, especially since 2016 onwards, the government completely lost control of our borders. Now we are hearing that all government departments, every single one of them, are now on official alert as the crisis escalates. I love how they had to wait for this horrifying update to come out for them to officially be on alert, saying, oh, I think there's a bit of a problem, guys. I think we are getting some bad PR in the press. Really, what were you doing over the last at least 3 years? At least. Because it's not really just the issue of small boats. What I've been talking about on this channel, what we've been talking about recently and obviously for a while, we've been saying the numbers that we're looking at on this channel is not really just about the small boats or illegal migration. This is about mass migration. That includes legal migration. The numbers are out of control. They've been like this since the late 90s onwards. The 2000s, the situation was bad. We were complaining, but that was still much better compared to what we are seeing under this so-called conservative government. Not really sure what they're conserving, but it is definitely not Britannia. All right, let's look at the analysis of some of the numbers and figures that we have. So when you look at the official figures from the Home Office itself, the annual visas by type, you can see by year between 2005 and 2022. Okay, so the dark red section is family-related visas. Then you've got the pink one, which is study, so student visas. We've had in 2022 490,000 students. Then you've had 136,000 dependents of the students. Then you've got the blue line, blue bar, which is work. So we've had 260,000 workers to economic migration and 155,000 dependents of those economic migrants. So the number of dependents, that really matters when it comes to the net migration that we have. Then you have a smaller bar, which is other. So that includes the actual refugees, actual asylum seekers. So you've got the people from Hong Kong and Ukraine. Obviously, the number was quite big in 2022 because of Ukraine and Hong Kong. So Hong Kong had 58,000, Ukrainians 200,000. But look at the grey one. So that includes obviously the genuine asylum seekers. A lot of them over the last decade or so, that number was still low. So the issue was never fully about genuine asylum seekers. The number was always about mass economic migration and their dependents. Again, that's the one area that has to be fixed. You have so many issues around bogus student visas and fake companies recruiting people to come here. And when you look at the student visas, the red bar is the actual students. Then we've got the black bar, which is dependents. Number of dependents have also increased massively. So what's happened recently? We have to figure out what's been going on over the last year or so, because even in 2021, obviously the black bar was still larger than the previous years in terms of the proportion, but it was still much lower than 2022. Something is happening this year that the Home Office is completely out of control, and that perhaps there are people who are doing this on purpose. They are more than happy to bring in people without actually getting the consent of the British public. Now, the government say that they're on top of it. Now, they have some ideas when it comes to student visas. Ministers are currently considering plans, oh dear God, to stop 1 year master's students bringing over family members after claims that asylum, that the system is being abused. So if you have the power to do that, why can't you also limit dependence for students even when it comes to undergrad degrees? Perhaps one family member, if it's a mother or father, maybe. But even that, these people are 18 at least, 18 years old. They are officially adults. They're not children. They don't really have to have anybody with them, although some will have their own kids. So they will be dependent on the so-called students. So that's a whole different situation. But if they're going to bring their girlfriends and other boyfriends and everybody else, that becomes a bit of a problem. Bringing your own relatives, I'm not really sure that should count as dependent unless you have your own child. That's an exception. Now, that's one area to focus on, but the government says, whoa, guys, we're on top of it. Yeah, sure. Now, the Home Office came out to say, the public rightly expect us to control our borders, and we remain committed to reducing net migration over time, while ensuring we have the skills our economy needs. Nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense, because that last part of the sentence is what they care about in government. Getting more people for economic migration, because all they care about is that number when it comes to GDP to look up, because the higher the number is with GDP, the easier it will be for any party in government to win the next election. So, having said that, the Tory backbenchers are not too happy about the situation. So John Hayes, who's the chairman of the Common Sense group of the Conservative backbenchers, came out to say that population growth at this level is unsustainable. The government needs to act immediately and radically to curb migration. We should not be adding to the numbers of people we take into the country outside of the key shortage occupations. Absolutely spot on. John Hayes says, it risks damaging productivity by maintaining or even creating a labor-intensive economy rather than a big tech, high-skilled economy. It displaces investment in skilling Britons and automation. So we get that. And then Tory backbenchers are also frustrated because all these chaotic stories undermine the Tory party. And they keep coming on TV and radio saying, guys, there's a difference between the Tory backbenchers and the government. Just because the government is full of conservatives doesn't mean we are the government. But that's their problem, and they have to explain to the electorate the difference between the backbenchers and government. So that's a whole different problem. But the issue is we are essentially borderless. And yes, government departments could be set on alert or some sort of emergency, but it could just be for PR purposes to make us think that they are doing something about it. Are they going to do something about it? Or are they just going to win the political battle with illegal migration when it comes to the small boats until the next election and come on TV and say, guys, we have fixed the migration crisis? No, we haven't. Even if you sort out the small boats, that's a small part of what's going on when it comes to mass migration problem in this country. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.